So when I was about 10, my mom and my aunt took me and my cousins, Nikki and David, who I was very close to my whole life, all the time, spending time with them, lived with us. I was very close to them. Took us on a camping trip. Well, while on this camping trip, my mom met a guy named Chuck. Camping alone, blah, blah, blah. So at the time, me and my mother were living with my stepdad, Henry, and it evolved to where we ended up moving in with him. Well, I just remember how it started was he tried to give me a back rub, and then it kind of escalated, and then he said, I want to show you sockets. That's what he said. And he was pointing out like different things or whatever. And, he made his way down to that area. Meanwhile, while this was happening, it was, he had already been charged with molesting his daughter. So, I'm going to smoke off camera. So, when government officials or whatever got wind that he was living with a minor child, they came out to ask me if anything was being done to me. Well, me being scared and everything, I said no, but he also had told me over time that he had done this to a girlfriend that he went out with his other children. There was 3 kids or something. I also remember going to a counselor for a brief period of time. I don't remember why I needed counseling or whatever. So anyways, we ended up moving from, it was a trailer park in Auburn Hills, to Ortonville. And it went on for like 6 months or whatever until one day me and Nikki and David got in trouble. And he made us all sit on the couch. It was a blue couch. And to this day, I still hate blue couches. So we're all sitting there, and we grabbed these grape high C's out of the fridge, and we were trying to scam a way to get out of the house. So I told my little cousin David to go in the bathroom. And the way it was is you could continually walk around the house, and the bathroom was near the back door. So I said, when you go in the bathroom, I'll hit my foot on the door and on the washer and dryer, which was right by the back door, and then I'll open the door, and then we'll all leave. So anyways, that ended up happening. Then I got him to let Nikki to come by the back door, and we all ran out the door. Well, here he comes chasing us down, and I remember when I get real upset, I'll laugh. It's probably some kind of defense mechanism, but he grabbed my arm and he said, and I'll never forget, you tell those kids to get their effing asses back here right now. And I said, okay, haha, I'm laughing. So my grandmother lived right over the fence, not very far away. So we're jumping this fence, and this guy's yelling at us for jumping his fence, and we go to my grandmother's house, but no one's home. So we can see him getting in the truck, leaving to come look for us. So what we did was we went and hid in the backyard under this tarp at Grandma's house. And we hear him eventually come to my grandma's house around the back door and knock on it and stuff. So when he left, we ran to the neighbor's house, and I still had this high C in my hand. It's dripping all over my arm. It looks like I'm bleeding. And the only thing I could say when the neighbor lady opened the door was, he's going to kill us. So she pulled us in the house, and she called the police, and the police caught him driving up and down the road. And that's when it all came out. I mean, it was just a fiasco that night. There was so many police officers and the fire department and all this stuff, and we had to get one of those rape tests, and they took off all our clothes, and they stripped all the bed sheets, and took our blood, and interviewed us and things like that. And at first he denied it, saying that I was jealous of he and my mother's relationship, but then he ended up admitting it. So as time went on, when he's getting charged, which he ended up, I'm pretty sure it was like 45 counts. Okay. The court date was on my birthday. And by this time, my mother somehow decided that she wanted to stick it out with him, and that this is what the quote in the newspaper said in the Oakland Press, which I'm going to go next week and I'm going to find that story. She said, "He's sick. I want him to get help and come home." Well, he wasn't coming home, okay? He got sentenced to 40 years. But by this time, I can't see my cousins anymore because, of course, they're thinking, who's this crazy chick marrying this guy that molested her kid? Okay. So I lost them. My mom wasn't married to him when he got arrested, but I didn't have to testify because it was being scaled back of what I was saying. I made it seem a lot less than it really was because, my mom wanted to marry him and stuff. This was, she loves him and he's just sick and needs to get help. So then he would call all the time after he's sentenced to 40 to 60 years in prison for what he did. He would call all the time, and then she would drag me to Jackson prison to go visit this guy in prison that did this to me. And he told everybody that he was in there for blue-collar crimes because they're marked men in there who do that to kids. But yeah, she ended up marrying him, and it's like she blamed me. I was 11 years old, but she said because he took us to Disney World that's why I never told. And what were you doing when I was at work? Sucking his dick, and you this and that, slut, this, that. I mean, that went on for a long time, and we were in church at the time, and they even stood by the guy. I mean, so forgiveness, I guess, but I just kind of always let it go. I didn't ever really talk about it. The only counseling I really had was a place called the Sanctuary. I went there for 2 weeks, and I think it was pretty obvious to the counselors that worked there. I remember them saying sometimes the child is more like the parent or whatever, stuff like that. So it was a big story in the Oakland Press, and I'm going to get that, and I'm going to publish that and talk about that. There's a lot of other things that took place regarding that, and the stepdad I had loved a lot, that we had lived with when she met him, he wouldn't have anything to do with me anymore, probably because it freaked him out. I mean, I really don't blame the guy. He wasn't my real father or anything. So, that was a very hurtful time, losing everyone like that and going through all that stuff. That was pretty hard.